Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 92 of Build Your Stash and Craft. This week we are going to be making mandalas, and we're going to be making some measuring strings so that we can make marks on our mandalas if we want to. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with the measuring string, and this is a measuring string. And this is so that you can start at one point on your mandala and go around the circle to find, let's say you want to make half-inch marks. So you're able to make a mark at each one of the half-inch points so that you can do some drawing or doodling. And it's hard to do that with a ruler. You can do it with a ruler, but you got to keep repositioning it. So I just make a string like this and mark it at every half of an inch. And that way it makes it so that if I want to go, let's say, around this flower petal, then I can curve it like that. So I just like to go ahead and use these strings, and I just make my own. I'm sure maybe they probably have them that you can buy, but and what you're going to do is just take a length of string, and this one here that I have, this is 14 inches, and I'm just going to take any length. That really doesn't matter to me. But then the one thing that you're going to do, so that for a few reasons, number one, so that your marker, when you mark it, does not soak into your string and bleed out, because then your marks aren't as crisp. So if you put the glue on it, it makes it so that they don't bleed, and then also so that it doesn't unravel. And so what I do is I just take a bit of glue and stick it on my finger, and then just start at the top. Now don't twist your string too much, and then I'm just going to put my hands together and just put this glue on here. And then you're going to have to let it set and dry. But if you twist it, because this is twisted string, it's all wound together, if you twist it too much, you're going to untwist the string, which is part of the reason we're putting the glue on there, so that the string doesn't start getting all untwisted. So just kind of go straight, go, front and back and side to try and get the whole thing. And it doesn't necessarily matter if you absolutely have the whole thing, if you've missed a little teeny tiny spot, but you do want to try and get it as best as you can. And you just have to keep putting glue on your fingers. Now you may want to wear gloves when you do this, so you're not getting this glue on your hand. Just try and keep the string away from what you've already glued so it doesn't stick together. No big deal, you just pull it apart if it does. And you're just going to do that all the way to the end of the string. Need a little bit more glue here. And I am kind of like moving my fingers back and forth to move the string around where I've got the glue, but I'm not pushing on the string so that it unwinds it. Okay, so I'm all the way to the other end. Then usually what I do is I just kind of go back over it a little bit. That kind of gets a little bit more of the glue off my fingers and puts a little bit more glue on the string. And then you'll need a place to hang it up. And I usually stick a piece of parchment paper. I have some here. I stick a piece of parchment paper over top of something that I can hang it over like this, and I just put the parchment paper and then set the string on it so that the string doesn't stick to whatever I'm hanging it on. And what you're also going to need to do is, because the ends, even though you've got that glue on them, they want to fray a little bit, so just take a little bit of glue and put just a little bulb of glue at the end of each end of your string. So just kind of put it there. I'm going to bring this one over here, and then just put a little bulb of glue on here. Try and get it all the way around. You don't want to just put it on one side, or it will still unravel. So there we go. So there's just a little tiny bulb of glue on each end. And then I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to hang it up and let it dry. Okay. And you can dry that with your heat gun if you want to. That works just fine. So, but is something that you can maybe do before you go to bed at night and just hang it up and let it dry. And then when you get up in the morning, just put your marks on it. Now to mark it, I also mark it on a piece of parchment. I'm going to, got glue on there, so if I go to color that, it's not going to color in that spot. Okay, and what I do is just take my ruler, and I do have one here that I've done. This one is 3 feet long. So if I'm doing a large mandala, then I will have one that fits all the way around, but it really doesn't matter. You don't have to. You can just move it. You know, you can have just a 12-inch one and just keep moving it and moving it, however you want to do it. And then what you're going to do is you are going to line the bulb of your string, and I know this is hard to see. Let me see, do I have anything dark here? I don't know if this will really help, because then you're not going to be able to see the ruler probably. Okay. But just take the bulb of your string and line it right up with the mark that starts your ruler. Now there's usually on every ruler there's a little bit at the end that is not part of your original 1 inch. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So the ruler doesn't actually start till that mark there, so I'm going to line my bulb up right with that mark. And then I'm just going to go in. And originally, on my original one, I did the 1 inch marks. I don't put a mark at the end because I know the bulb is the starting point. But I did black at the 1 inch mark and brown at the 1/2 inch mark. They were so close together it didn't make a difference. So just go in and mark it at a 1/2 inch, in half inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, until you get all the way to the end. Just 1/2 inch increments, and just put a little mark there. And then when you get all the way to the other end, then what you're going to do is you've only got a dot on this side here. You can see that, but there's no dots on this side. So the way that I do that is I start at my original dot and come down the side. And just to make sure that I don't go crooked, I come down this side, then I kind of come over here, and I come down this side, and then it almost meets in the middle, and I can see where I need to be. And that's just because I'm no good at doing things straight. So I'm afraid that if I start here and start to draw around, when I get back to the other side, I won't be anywhere near my original mark. So I just, again, at the original mark, do the side, roll it over, do the other side, and then go to the back, and then you can kind of see where you need to be to make sure that line is straight. If you're confident in just going all the way around without going on the side to side, you can do that. It's not going to hurt a thing. Be careful about getting marker on your finger and then touching your string, because that mark will get on your string and then you may not know you know, which marks are which. Now, if you want to go in and do 1/4 inch marks, you can do that. And you could maybe do that like with a red or something that's definitely a different color. You can mark the 1 inches one color, the 1/2 inch another, the 1/4 inch another, so that it's very easy to see as you're going along. I didn't do 1/4 inch marks because I don't necessarily think that I will be doing anything that's that small. So I got some glue off my hands on here, but that's not going to hurt anything. Just kind of roll it onto there. So this is what it looks like when you're done. I'm not going to do the whole 3 feet, but I'll go back in and do that later on. And then I'll have a really long one if I decide that I want to use it. So that's how you make your measuring string, so that you can use that to make marks on your mandalas without having to use your ruler if you're trying to get it on one of the rounded surfaces. And then, I mean, they're so easy with the compasses. We'll just do a couple. And you can do them so many different ways. I'm just going to grab a pad of paper here. Now, if you don't want your pencil marks on your mandala, what you can do is you can put in something that has a little point on it, but is not does not have color to it. If you can find, now I found that my pen did not fit in here, which kind of surprised me. A regular big pen did not fit, but like put a pen in here that doesn't work, and then use that to press down, and it will just make a dent on your paper. And then you can go in and you won't have any pencil marks, but you will actually have your mandala marks. So what I do is I kind of start where I think is about the center, and then I go out towards the edge of the page. Now I'm about a half an inch from that edge of the page. Before I make any marks, I'm going to come over here, and over here I'm right on the edge, which my thumb is in the way, but I'm right on the edge. So I actually want to move this over a little bit. Okay, so now I'm in a little bit, and I move too much. There we go. That's about 1/4 of an inch there, so that should be about 1/4 of an inch there, yes. And then I kind of press it into my paper. I don't mind having that little hole in that. The little point on your compass will make a hole in your paper, but to me, I like that hole there, because then if I have to go back to that point, I know exactly where it is. And then you just hold it by the top and just go around until you meet the other side. Now, when I first got my compass, I'm going to show you this. Okay. When I first got my compass, this was really loose. When I tried to go around, it was just moving all over the place. So just take one of your little screwdrivers, and go ahead, and there is a screw right here, and just tighten that screw up till it's tight. And then that makes this tight. It will still move, but it's not going to just float around on you when you're trying to make your circle. You don't have to try and hold that in that spot. I mean, it was just very floppy. So tighten up that screw, and then when you move this to where you want it moved, it will stay right there. So once you do your circle, then the easy way to make a flower is just go out to the edge of the circle. It doesn't matter where. Do not change the setting of your compass. Just go out onto the edge of your circle. Try and do it hopefully where you can see, on the edge, and then just go to the circle on this side and stop at the circle when you get to the other side. Now what you're going to do is move your point over to that line that you just drew and do it again. Start at the edge of the circle and go around, and then we're going to move over to that point. Start at the edge of the circle and go around. And remember one thing, if you get outside the circle, you can always erase it. You're using a pencil, so it's no big deal. Whoops. Putting my point there. Now, if you change the width of your compass, it's going to, oh man, I just moved it totally. Let's see if I can fix that. There we go. Now, I got off right there because my compass moved. I was pushing too hard. So what I did was my compass moved way out here. I just went back to the line that I knew was right, and then lined my pencil back up with that line and completed going there. And then the last one would be start here and go up here, and there is your flower. I will be right back. Sorry about that. Okay, and so now I've made this mess right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and I'm going to erase that. Get it out of the way. I went outside the lines up there a little bit, and there we go. So now we've got our flower, and then what you can do is you can start right back in the center. Kind of find your little hole there, and then you can make different size circles. So you can just go ahead and make a smaller circle. And I keep moving it. It should not move like that, and I haven't had a problem till now, of course, because I'm on screen. And then we can go out here and make a circle out here. And you can just continue. Now, what you can do also is, because mandalas are symmetrical usually, what you're going to want to do is do the same thing on each side or all the way around your mandala. So, like, I may want to say, well, I want all of these flower petals to be empty. If I do, but I still want these half circles here, then you can just go in and you can erase. Maybe you want the outside circle that not there, but you want the inside circle left. So then just go ahead and just erase all the way around on those petals between one side and the other. And there we go. Now we've just got our flowers out there. You can just go back in and touch things up. Now, if you say, well, I want to have some straight lines in here, then just use your ruler. And let's say we want to go, from this point to right the middle point between these two petals. Well, how am I going to get exactly to the middle point? You can measure it this way, from here to here, and say, okay, that is 4 inches from point to point. The problem is I have to make sure that when I do this, that I'm right at the exact right spot. You can also use your little measuring stick, measuring thread, and go like this, and go, there's a 1/2 inch. My ruler in the way. I'm going to actually set my ruler on top of this and then pull it around so that my ruler holds it as I measure. So there's 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, plus 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go 1 inch, 2 inch, 2 1/8 inches is right about here. So this is going to be my center. And so then I can go ahead and draw my line from the little hole that I have, that my compass made, and draw that line right up there. Now I know that I'm exactly in the center. And actually, because this is symmetrical, don't know why I moved my ruler. I can go all the way across. Okay? And I could do that between each petal, or I might only want to go that far. So you might decide, well, I think maybe I want to do some angled lines. Maybe I want to go from this circle up to that circle between the petals. Then just go ahead and do that all the way around. Whatever you do to one side, just make sure that you do to the other. And that's what will make it look like a mandala. It's all about the symmetry. And you don't have to, you can do one, skip one, do one, skip one, do one, skip one, and that's still symmetry. You don't have to do every open space so long as you make sure that you do the same thing on each side. And so there, now we have this line here all the way around. And you can play and play and play and do so many different things. Now, on a lot of mandalas, they have some really cool shapes and stuff. Well, let's say we want to do that. Okay, on this one, I'm going to use the ruler because I just need to know a straight line between, I'm going to go on this rounded part here, and I'm going to go from the point to the point and see how far. It's 1.5 inches from the point of the flower here to the point of the flower here where this circle meets them. I hope you can see this. Okay, so it's 1.5 inches from here to here. 1.5 inches from this mark to this mark. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of cardstock and I am going to cut a piece that is 1.5 inches wide. Better put my glasses on. And this is all white on white. I know that that's, but I'm just making a mark at 1.5 inches so that I can cut a straight strip, because I'm no good at cutting straight lines without something to follow. Okay, now I have a 1.5 inch strip of cardstock, and I'm going to cut this out if I can find my scissors. Here they are. And I'm only going to just go about this far, about 3 inches probably. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, because again, you know, we want symmetry, and I am no good at drawing something the same on one side as the other. So I'm going to fold it in half, And I'm going to just kind of curve in, and then maybe I want to curve up, and then curve in again like that. So now I have this shape, and now I can take this and line it up from point on this flower to point on this flower. That's where we measured. I have got glue all over my hand still. I'm going to go from there to there, and then I'm just going to draw around it. Because I love these shapes, and I can never get, like I said, one side will look really good, the other side will look terrible. And then I'm going to erase the line that was there at the point. And that looks like that. Now I can also erase the lines. I'll just do one more. I'm going to go from the point of the flower to the point of the flower. Oops, I moved it. And again, just trace around this. And if you find one that you really love, trace it onto chipboard, a piece of cereal box or something, and you know, that will be heavier, and then it will last longer for you than a piece of cardstock. And there we go. Now we can do that all the way around. Maybe I don't want this circle out here. Well, then I can just go in and I can erase that part of the circle. And once you're done and you have everything just how you like it, you can cut them out. You can leave them. You don't have to cut them out. But I always tried, like, I drew around plates and cups and made some circles and then tried doing my doodling in between. And I always had a hard time with getting the symmetry. So with the compass and with making your little measuring string and with making templates to use, then you can go ahead and you can make a mandala that is very, very detailed. You can make it, you know, not very detailed, and then go in and just color it up how you want to. They'll work great in your journals. You can just take this one and cut it out, fold it in half right there, and then you could, you know, cut this out, put another one of these up here and cut around it, and then put that, fold it in half and put that in a journal. That would look good, and we're actually going to do that in our journal series. We're going to put some in our journal. So, but yep, I just thought that this would be a fun thing to play with, and I'm going to go ahead and finish putting these on here and cutting it out, and then I will be back. Now this one right here, these petals are just a touch farther apart than these ones over here. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt a thing. So, you know, don't worry about that if things are not exactly perfect. But these tips will help you get it just a little bit closer to symmetrical than just trying to do it all freehand. I'm just not good at freehand. And you don't have to be. I used to think that any kind of tracing whatsoever was cheating. You know what? This is my shape. I made it. And this is my mandala. I made it. It's okay that I used a compass. It's okay that I made this shape and then I traced it. You know, you can do whatever it is that gets you to the point of what you're looking for. So tools are a great asset even in drawing. So I will be back in just a minute and we'll go over what we need for next week. Okay, I am back, and I'm going to show you how to make a homemade embossing stick. Now, when I was younger, I used to use pens that didn't work. I would stick them in my compass, and I would use those to make the impressions on my paper, and I'm hoping you might be able to see this. But this is exactly the same design, except on a smaller scale, that we just did with the flower and the circle. And can you see that? So that is embossed in the paper, but I don't have the pencil lines. I don't have to worry about them. So if I wanted to use this as a watercolor or something, I wouldn't have to worry about erasing the lines, and then maybe where I erased the lines and I was going to watercolor over it, it's going to seep in more because I've erased that spot and, you know, made the paper a little bit furry. So this is so that you can get your pattern without having any pencil lines on there whatsoever, so that you can go in and use other mediums to color it in and nothing's going to show. So this is what I'm going to show you how to do. And I just made, because pens don't fit in here. When I was younger, these were metal, and this actually expanded, and a pen would fit in there. And so when I tried it this morning, it didn't fit, and I was really disappointed that that didn't work. So I just made my own, and what I used was one of our skewers, and I just took one of the skewers. Mine all have stuff on them, and I took some of our masking tape. And then what I did was I just put my skewer on here, because you want your point to be level with the point over here. And so I'm just going to put my point right there. And so this is where I know that I want my masking tape. And so I'm just going to take some masking tape and I'm going to put it right there. And I'm probably going to rip off about 5-6 inches and do it just a little bit at a time, because it's easier just to, you want to try and keep it pretty straight on there so it's in the same spot and it stays the same thickness. But just go around there like that, and it does not have to be perfect. Now I know for sure that this is not going to hold, you know, that's not, once I put the lock down, it's still going to move. So I need another piece of tape. On the last one, it took me 2 pieces of about 5 or 6 inches, and then a shorter piece for the third piece in order for it to fit. So just go ahead and get this one around here. And basically what we're doing is we're making this as thick as the pencil so that it'll fit in there and it will be held in place. I'm going to put, you have to unlock it to see if it fits. And this is still, see, that's going to move, and it can't move, because otherwise it's going to move while you're trying to draw your circle. So I'm going to take a shorter piece. This is probably about 3 inches. And when you get to this point, you can just start using some really quite short pieces. And I'm just going to put this one on here. Okay, and then we'll try that. Open it up. And that fits pretty good. I'm going to lock it, and that locks pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put just one more piece around it, and just a little teeny tiny piece, because it was tight, but you know, when you press on it a little bit as you're drawing, it might come loose. And then what I did was I just kind of took the part that's going to go into the machine, into the compass, and just kind of rounded that in just a little bit, just so that the edges of this don't flare out and catch when you're trying to put it in. And then just put it in there. Yeah, see, now it's pretty tight to slide in, and then by the time that I lock it, it's nice and tight. And then I just broke it off right up here so that it wasn't in my way. And so that's how you're going to make your own homemade embossing stick to use with your compass. And then all you do is just like with your pencil, just choose a point and just use that and press. You're going to want to have at least a couple pieces of paper under here to give something soft for this to press into, but you don't want soft like fabric or something like that, because you don't want to rip through your paper. You want it to be solid and soft. And so you just go around like that. And I just moved the whole thing. Let me just see if I can continue right. So just go around, and then when you meet up to the other side, then you're just going to go in and do your flowers. Now I did not meet up because I kept moving it. And is it because of this? No, it's not because of this. Yeah, I'm a little bit loose. So I'm going to tighten that back up again. Because these are cheap, you might have to do that every so often. Just give it a little tighten, so that it doesn't move on you. So, and then just don't want to do it too big. Oops, moved it again. just to give you the gist. Okay, so there we go. And now we just embossed that circle right there. So you can do that, and you know, you can make your pattern as detailed as you want to, but it won't have any pencil marks, but you will still have areas to follow to make it. So I know that that's not easy to see, but I wanted to show you that because I really wanted you to be able to do that if you wanted to. So now I'll be back in just a second. I think I'm going to maybe cut a few out, color some up. I'll come back and show them to you and tell you what we need for next week. Okay, I am back. And so what we did today was we made our own embossing tools to emboss so that we have no pencil marks. And this is the one that I showed you when we did the embossing tools. Just a simple flower, but there's no pencil marks on there whatsoever. And I was able to follow those lines in my coloring in. Just the embossed lines so that I didn't have any marks on there. And we have our measuring tool. And we also made little templates to make a little template to make a different design that would be symmetrical. And you could do that with anything. You could make it just rounded. You could do however you wanted. And this is the one that we did together, and I cut it out. I like the way it's cut out. And then you could fold that in half and put that in a journal, and wouldn't that look cute? So that's what we did today. I think that these are just so much fun. They're as fun as the Spirograph, if not more, because you can just do your own thing. This is one that I had done, and I cut it out to look like this, and I like the way that that looks. And then they look really cute on book pages. And here's one that I just colored in. And you can just go from, you know, this one is very basically simple to just doing the flower in the center and a few extra lines on the outside. And then I just took a ruler and put it straight across from the tip of this petal to the tip of this petal, and just put the ruler straight across, and then just drew from the tip of the petal out to the edge of the line. And then I just moved over and did that all the way around, and that's how I got these triangles on here. Just colored that in a little bit, but you could go from super simple to more intricate with lots of lines and, you know, different degrees, angles, and that type of thing, just using your ruler and your compass. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I think that they're really fun to play with. I really enjoy them. So, but and what we're going to need for next week is from the Dollar Tree, just a roll of wired ribbon, something you like the looks of, but the only important thing is that it's wired on the edges, so that it's got this wire in here, because actually that's what we need, is the wire that's in this wire ribbon. And then from the dollar store, or from the Walmart store, I got these 2 packs of beads for 98 cents a piece. And what you want is just some beads that are about 8 or 10 millimeters. I think these are probably about 8. Possibly even 6, but just some decent sized beads. Now, if you have like old necklaces with beads on it, you know, you could pull those apart or pick some up at a thrift store. Our thrift store doesn't carry very many necklaces, so, but also garage sales are a great place to get necklaces, and no matter what they look like, when you pull them apart, the beads are great to have. So we're going to spend $3 this week, and so that'll put $2 in our bank. We had let's see, what did we have? We had $36.50. So putting $2 in our bank is going to give us $38.50 in our bank. And so that is what we're going to need for next week. I do hope that you enjoyed the mandalas today, and I hope you make some and have fun doing that. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.